Hi, I'm Edna Pasher. I hope that some of you remember me. And we are here again with our followers on Status, the management magazine of Israel. And today in our global interviews, which we already had a few, we have a very special guest. I am very lucky that she was my student this last year in a very, very special program which we are going to share with you. And I think that it's of interest for all of you, both in the academic world and in other organizations, because this very special, unique program emerged out of the pandemic, out of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we all had to move in the academic world to teach online. And I am very happy that I was approached by a very close friend by now, Dr. Boaz Cohen, who is leading the program of Holocaust studies in the Western Galilee College. He saw that we were experimenting with online teaching globally, using the concept of project-based learning, focusing on my passion, which is always innovation and entrepreneurship, but especially impact innovation. We were doing impact innovation to contribute to the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. And Dr. Boaz Cohen said, I have an idea. We're going to do a very special program about innovation and entrepreneurship in memory of the Holocaust. I will quote him. He says, now it's on us because the survivors are slowly dying. And who is going to tell the story? So today we have this special guest here who is going to tell a very special story within this context. So, Eva, let's start by you telling us who you are, everything about you. Thank you very much for coming.
It's a great honor, Edna. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you for Status for inviting me for this interview. So I'm a Hungarian Jew living in Israel. I made Aliyah a few years ago from Budapest. And my project in the Western Galilee College, which you supported, is about the Hungarian resistance movement, the Zionist youth of Hungary in '44 during the war. It's a study kit for English-speaking schools around the world, which we implement with two beautiful people in my team in the college. One is Johnny Hudson, who is in England, a PhD student and a teacher of history, and then Hershey Orenstein, who is a guide in the Yad Vashem. So I have a great team, and your support with Boaz Cohen is amazing because we can implement this project.
Thank you. And your full name, I never pronounce it properly. So we have in this great project Johnny and Hershey and Eva Vadasz. Okay, thank you. So let's get to know you a little more because you are our hero today. So what made you make Aliyah? When did you make Aliyah to Israel?
Okay, this is a very complex question. I was studying in Jerusalem in a liberal yeshiva called Pardes, this was in 2012, and then after that year I made Aliyah, because it was just a click, you know. Israel was always a very pushy country for me, very hot, the sun I didn't like, but I took a sabbatical year from my work in Hungary, and then I went to Pardes, which was actually the best year of my life in Jerusalem. And then this was in August that school started, and then maybe in September, October, I had a moment that I was biking up on the hill, and I was sweating, and it was a really hot day, and I was really struggling. I had the schwung, you know, the elan, to go up on the hill, and then a car was coming down, and it stopped next to me and stopped me. The lady in the car, who was the driver, she asked me for directions in the streets. And then I said, this is outrageous. Someone is stopping me when she sees me that I'm going upwards. And then this very complex thought entered my mind that, okay, she would stop for me as well if she was the biker. So I stopped for her and I put her in direction. And then I just told my parents that I'm going to make Aliyah. This country is not only protecting me as a mother tiger, but also the people of Israel are so together, embracing each other, which was a totally unknown feeling for me before. In Hungary, in Canada where I lived, in Slovakia where I lived, I didn't know this feeling. So it was an amazing thing. So this is why, this is one click why I made Aliyah. But I wanted to go back to Hungary, and then, but then I made Aliyah, and I'm here. And
how long?
Oh, okay. So this was in 2012, and then 2013 I made Aliyah.
And what have you been doing in Israel since then? We will go into the details of our program, of course, but you have such a moving story that let's hear. So
okay, so I was always in Hungary for more than 10 years. I was volunteering for the March of the Living, which is Mitzat HaChaim in Hebrew, and then Élet Menete in Hungarian, and it's a huge organization in Hungary. And I was the second person leading the volunteers. It works with more than 100 volunteers, very committed volunteers. And then, so here when I came to Israel, not only March of the Living, I was also working for Bnei Brit. We were compiling the discourse on anti-Semitism. It's a book which is about anti-Semitic activities in the society. We were press watching, press clipping, and monitoring, and it was a very interesting work. So Bnei Brit is doing a lot of activities. I was volunteering for them as well, and then in many activities I had a part in Hungary which was against racism, for tolerance, and then against anti-Semitism. And then I came to Israel where I'm in Israel. I don't have to fight anti-Semitism anymore. Compared to Europe, I think, okay, there is racism in Israel, but more of tolerance. And then there was always this thing in me that I have to do something. But then I realized that there is a problem in Israel that with the Hungarians, with the Hungarian history, and as coming from Hungary, I was asked many times what I miss from Hungary in Israel, and I always said that the language is the thing that I miss the most. So I was very happy to write, because originally I'm a journalist, so to write for Hungarian Jewish papers about Israel. And then there was the most famous Hungarian paper in Israel, which is called Kelet.
So why don't you show it to our followers?
I'm gonna show it. It's just that Kelet wanted to go bankrupt in 2015, And then we, as volunteers, went up to the owner and then offered him to take it over. And then we took over the editorial. So for 7 years, we are managing Kelet for the readers. It's a very small readership, but it's a very important paper. It's 104 years old. It's the oldest paper of Israel, 1 year older than Haaretz.
Wow!
So Haaretz congratulated us when we were celebrating the 100 years anniversary, and actually this was the 100 years anniversary issue, which was actually our PhD. It's about the history of Kelet. It was an amazing thing to compile this, and
Wow!
then
I didn't know. I guess our followers didn't know either. That's very
So we
interesting.
took over the editorial, and then I was offered the position of editor-in-chief. So I'm working with the Hungarian language, so I can't say that I'm missing it so much anymore.
Wow. I heard about Kelet, but I didn't know that it is so old, and I didn't...
It was established in Cluj-Napoca. This is the Romanian name of Kolozsvár, which is a Transylvanian town, a city, a beautiful Hungarian city. That's where it was established. We have it written on each issue there. And then in 1918. And then during the war, it had a break for 10 years, and then the whole editorial moved to Israel. So they made Aliyah in 48. The whole editorial reopened in Tel Aviv. So from 48, Kelet lives in Israel, and we are maintaining it. We went online as well. It's digitized already. The National Library of Israel has it on its website, and also the Hungarian National Library. And then if you would like to research in the archives, then you can, because it's digitized.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We will go back to you at the end of our interview, but I think that it's proper that we now drill down into the very special of Hungarian Jews during the Holocaust, and the very special project that self-organized in our program at the Western Galilee College, Innovation and Entrepreneurship in Memory of the Holocaust. So before that, tell us a little about your experience in this course. We are going to have it next year, the third time.
Good for them.
So your story could be of interest for people all over the world who consider joining our course this coming year in, I guess that we start in November, the first semester of the next year. So tell us a little about how did you find about us, what happened, and what's the outcome, and where you are now, and everything.
So Edna, it was such an interesting thing how I found you, because I made an interview with David Gur like 2 years ago in March. I know him already for a few years. He was in the Zionist resistance movement in Hungary. Now he lives in Ramat Gan, and he's 95 or 96 years old. So he's a survivor, and he's such a survivor, a very special survivor who is very active, and one of the few survivors from this Zionist resistance youth movements of Hungary. So I knew him, I made an interview, and then I had this guts feeling that it's not enough. The interview is not enough. We made a video with him. This has to be in the common knowledge, because there was a Hungarian resistance movement. Youth in Hungary, young people, 14, 18-year-old people, they were fighting the Nazis with such tools that are incredible, and people don't know about it in the world. And I was really thinking about it, how to do it. Okay, I'm a journalist, so I can write articles, I can make a video interview, but there should be some PhD project in the Tel Aviv University, or a Netflix series about it, or something, a film, or. And then our magazine was approached by actually a Hungarian PhD student from Haifa, that he said that there is this course in the Western Galilee College, would be so kind to advertise it. And we have an online edition as well, and then we advertised it. And of course, I applied because this is something, entrepreneurship and innovation in holocaust studies. This is what I need to study. So to bring it to the common knowledge, all this history, what I think is not in the common knowledge. So I applied, and then I met you, and then and then you and Boaz told us that it's we were, I don't know how many students we were in the beginning, but you told us that not every project will be implemented. We can implement only like 3 or 4 projects. So your helpers made this Excel table, which was online. Everything was online, right? Like we never met, for example, I never met Johnny, who is in England, offline, and he's my team member, and I'm in a daily contact with him. He's the executor of the printing right now in England, and we never met offline. And then we were starting the course. You told us that there's going to be only 3 or 4 projects which are going to be implemented. So I started to push my project towards the others. Like we have
very good.
I called them, and there was also another student from the United States who was also from March of the Living. So I thought that he's gonna be my person, but he had a different project. And then so I called, and then Hershey was the one approaching me that he's interested in my project, and then he advised me to bring in Johnny as well. So somehow we succeeded to be
self-organized
to be in those few projects what can be implemented. And then we met every Monday in the evening on Zoom, and it was very professional. And then we always had lectures, and then we learned about innovation and entrepreneurship, and of course Holocaust studies as well. So for a lot of us, it was not unknown what we studied in the subject of the Holocaust, and for some of us it was not new what we studied in innovation, but everything was like the whole subject was new to everyone. So this is why there was a very good co-working among the students of the course, and I think that everybody was very happy, and we wanted more. Actually, finished. The course finished with the pitches. That we had to make the pitch about our project in January, and then all these great shots from Holocaust studies were there watching us. I even invited the Hungarian ambassador and the cultural attaché, and of course David Gur was there himself, and then who we call our team member, of course, and then the course stopped. It finished. It ended, and we missed it, and we wanted to work more. And then this is how we implemented the project, because this was in January and now it's August, and we are implementing it right now with your help. You are still meeting with us on Zoom, and then you are pushing us gently and delicately, but to be entrepreneurs in the
all the way to the market, all the way, which is what impact innovation is all about. In impact innovation, we want to do well by doing good, and what a better cause than in memory of the Holocaust.
And also, just adding that the college is in Akko. I've never been to the college, and I know the college because I know how it looks like. I know Boaz, I know you, and then as if I've I am a real student there. I got a certificate, and everything happened online.
This is why it is the new normal. I don't want to go back to the normal and to miss this great opportunity to work with students from all over the world.
From all over the world. We had someone from Turkey whose subject was the Saloniki Jews from Greece, and then we had someone from Manchester and from Florida, and someone from Slovakia, and it was really very international. Someone from Slovakia who was that student when she visited Israel. Of course, we met her, and it's such an amazing thing to meet offline. You as well. It's amazing.
Sure, of course. We are happy. You are not the only one from overseas. I mean, for us, the course made it possible for us to meet. You are living in Tel Aviv, and I am in Tel Aviv, so that's great. But we even met some others who came, for vacation or came to visit Israel, and we met. It's a great opportunity. So I am so happy to listen to you and to understand that my dream and Boaz's dream of making this possible, to create meaningful projects in memory of the Holocaust. Maybe you would just like to add a few words where the project is right now and what we are all looking together with you to make it even better. So just a few words about the status of the project right now.
So the status of the project is that we, so this is a study kit for teachers and students all around the world, in English-speaking schools. There are many study kits about the resistance in the Holocaust, but very few on the Hungarian resistance. And this one is the first one, which also provides resources and material for the teachers to show the students. It's an investigation, so it consists of two classes. The first class is about the Holocaust in Hungary, an introduction, and it works with pictures. So the students will see pictures, and then on the back of the pictures there's a little explanation, and then they have to put together the story. The second class is only about the resistance movement, so Shomer HaTzair, Habonim Dror, Bnei Akiva, Anwar HaTzioni, all the youth of these organizations in Hungary, they got together and they fought the tyranny of the Nazis in 1944, when the Germans and the German Nazis and their Hungarian collaborators were making anti-Jewish activities in the Second World War. So these guys, these young people, they set up such a rescue and resistance movement that they were forging documents for each other and for other people. Forging documents is not the right word, as David Gur says it, because they got the documents from different offices and they just filled them in. And then they had Christianized themselves or Aryaneted themselves with the papers only, and then so they could move freely around in Hungary, and then this is how they could rescue people. They sent messengers to the countryside, and so the other Jews would know what's happening. They set up children's homes, so to feed the children, the orphans as well, and they smuggled people through the border to Romania. So these four activities they learn about in this second class, and then they meet the people who were in the resistance movement. So they meet faces, they meet David Gur, they meet other people who are not among us anymore, but we remember them. And
they meet because they use the material?
They use the material, they see the pictures, they have the explanation from the teacher, and then they have to put together the story. What did these young people do? So it's a very, very interesting material. I would be very happy to study about it when I imagine myself in high school, that this is, I want to be a resistant in Hungary, so I want to know everything about it. It's an interesting class. And then what we are doing right now, it's a pilot project, the pilot of the project, because we are printing the study kits in England, and then we are going to send it to some schools, so to try how this whole thing works. And then this is the status of the project right now.
Wow, it's amazing. And there is one number that I was so touched by through your project, which is that these young people in Hungary saved, if I remember, 15,000 Jews.
Yeah,
even more.
Even more. David would say that the numbers are not important. The numbers are not important, how many people they saved, but for us it's important, so we say in the project how many people they saved, and we also have a video in the project about a saved person. David would introduce me to someone here in Israel who was smuggled to Romania from Hungary with a forged document. I met him, he invited me to eat chulent at his house, he lives in Kfar Ma'as, and then we have a video in his orchard, how he's talking about his experience actually in English, so this is also a resource what we have.
It's amazing, and I would like to emphasize that we in the program, this great collaboration with the Western Galilee College, we are very committed, as you could hear from Eva, to support our students in taking their projects all the way to implementation. And we will do it together. So if you have any questions about that, you can of course be in touch with Eva. Maybe we will put the details after the when it is being printed in status.
And also I can say that we have an email address, the Rescue and Resistance LC, because our name is Rescue and Resistance Learning Center. So Rescue and Resistance LC at gmail.com. So if anyone would like to ask or maybe offer a sponsorship, then we are ready to accept and answer all the questions.
That's great. But I promised that at the end of our great interview, which is so inspiring, we will go back to you personally. I think that your story is so special. Making Aliyah, coming to Israel, joining our course now. What is your passion right now? Maybe you can share with our followers, and maybe some of them would like to explore it together with you. So what is it that you would like to do in Israel in addition to innovation and entrepreneurship in memory of the Holocaust? Yes.
So yes, so memory is very important, and also the future is important. This is why we thought about the study kits. So students are the future, but also the present is very important. So the present, I think that in Israel, somehow Hungary is so underrepresented, while there was such a huge community here. Now it's a small community, but it's not the community in Israel who are the Hungarians. Hungary is a good country, it has an amazing history, and it has a very amazing Jewish history. Now in Hungary there is the number of the Jewish community it's between 100,000 and 160,000 Jews. Does anybody know this in Israel? That there are 60 synagogues, working synagogues in Hungary. There's a huge Jewish life. And also in Slovakia and in Czech Republic, because I was born in Czechoslovakia, so that's also very important for me to know, in Israel, to know about these countries as well. So I would, what I would like to, my next project would be something about this, that to Hungary not to be so underrepresented, Hungarian Judaism not to be so underrepresented in Israel. And then I was very happy to write about a new project which is in the Kfar Maccabiyah. A new exhibition opened about the Maccabiyah and the Maccabi clubs all around the world before the Maccabiyah opened in 2022, which was like 2 weeks ago, and or 3. And then this exhibition opened, and there's a huge Hungarian presence in that museum, which is amazing, because if you go to Yad Vashem, there's a little corner about the Hungarian Holocaust. If you go to the Herzl Museum, you hardly get to know that Herzl was born in Budapest and was living in Budapest until he was 18. Okay, he didn't consider himself to be a Hungarian Jew, but he was living there for 18 years. If you go to the Diaspora Museum, where I used to work, there's 2 to 4 things about Hungarian Jews, which are very, very small things. So it's somehow it's underrepresented. I understand the reasons. It's a very complex question, but I think that there's much to do here in Israel about this topic.
Wow. So here we are promoting some great opportunities for those of you who are interested to be in touch with Eva. I would like to thank you very much. It was a great experience for me to get to know you personally, to get to know the story of David Gur and the Rescue and Resistance movement. I would like to thank you for the Western Galilee College for helping us tell the story of our innovation and entrepreneurship in memory of the Holocaust. And I hope that some of you will be in touch with Eva, because she is a great entrepreneur with a lot of experience, as you could see. Thank you for watching us.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. And Edna, I just wanted to thank you for that you conducted the interview in English, so the Hungarian audience can understand it.
Sure, of course. It's an international course, of course. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.